All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to another Value Bomb Wednesdays. Every week, we're dropping tons and tons of value when it comes to anything credit and 0% funding related, real estate related. We are here to help make sure you guys are able to get into deals with as little of your own capital as possible without having to pay tons and tons of interest or giving up equity, blood, sweat, and tears. So, today's topic that we will be discussing is the true costs of done for you 0% funding. I'm sure you guys are probably getting blasted with tons of ads on this, especially if you've already clicked on my ad and you're part of this group or follow me. You're going to see tons and tons of different offers. A lot of them are very similar, but today I'm going to be talking to you guys exactly what the true cost of it is, right? Yes, it's 0% funding, but again, this isn't a charity. This is the business and the service. But the real question is, you know, if I'm borrowing this money, we obviously know it comes at a cost, but the real question is compared to what? And today I'm breaking down the exactly how much our done for you funding costs are, why it's the most affordable, fastest, and low risk funding option available, and how you could even lower the cost with our done for you funding rates, even lower with certain different discounts that you can take advantage of. So make sure you guys stick around to the very end because I'll walk you guys through a side by side cost comparison so you could see why paying for done for you funding is a no brainer compared to other funding options. So without further ado, y'all, let's get into it. Boom. So again, if you guys want a custom roadmap for your business, drop the word optimize in the comments below, and me and my team will personally put together a game plan for you absolutely free. Happy to do that for you guys and give as much free value upfront as possible to hopefully win you guys on as paid clients later. But let's get into it. So, number one is the reality of funding costs money, but compared to what? By now, you guys already know money isn't free, and borrowing capital always comes with a cost. But here's what most people don't think about is compared to what, right? Let's break it down because a lot of people they think they could just go out, take high interest loans, or spend their whole life savings and waste all this time versus getting the money now through done for you funding, which comes with a whole other ton of opportunity cost because wasting time and wasting the time to get experience if you're wasting time saving. And then also if you're doing high interest, you're losing money on the high interest versus if you can get something at a much lower cost and better terms. So let's break it down. So with hard money lenders, we're just going to use this as an example. Let's say you're doing real estate. If you're doing anything non-real estate related, you could just swap the word hard money lenders for just like a normal higher interest loan. So let's just say you need 10 to 20% for hard money of your own cash to get approved. And then on top of that, typically the interest rates are 12 to 15% plus 2 to 4 points up front. So not only are you getting charged interest, you're paying 2 to 4 points of what you borrowed upfront, and then on top of that, you need to put 10 to 20% down. So already a lot of barriers to entry to get into investing in real estate right off the bat. So most people not only don't have the initial down payment to get approved, let alone do they actually want to pay that much in funding costs? So let's also take this. Let's say you're not even doing real estate. Let's say you're doing a normal business loan. And typically they're about 15%. They're a lot harder to get approved for. And the thing with this is it does require tax documents, bank statements to be able to get approved. A lot more hoops you guys got to jump through, and you need to have proof of revenue. And the other option too is versus doing done for you 0% funding. Again, that comes with a cost, but look at these costs: hard money, business loans, and then on top of that, if you want to spend the time, it's really just wasting time of years of saving and then running into the risk of running out of money before you even become profitable. Those are the different options, and that's what we're comparing it to. So if you're okay spending years saving and then quickly running out of money and then running the risk of running out before the money you invested into your business or investment is profitable, then be my guest. But that comes with a lot more risk, a lot more time wasted versus, being able to use something that's a little bit more safer, like 0%. Now, the other option too is you could go about selling off assets. So if you already have some assets, the idea is you liquidate one asset just to fund a different investment instead of letting both grow at the same time, right? And if you think you need to sell one asset to fund another, then you're wrong. You can have your cake and eat it too. Being able to use 0% funding while the original asset continues to appreciate, use the 0% for the new asset. Now you have two assets growing side by side. And I guess one thing I forgot to mention here too is other people, they think you need to give up equity into their business. So that's the idea of working your ass off to build your business, and you're pouring in blood, sweat, and tears, and you're giving up a percentage ownership for the funding. And you don't need to do that either just to borrow capital. Like, I don't like the idea of pouring your blood, sweat, and tears to bust your ass, and then somebody just comes in and gives you like 50 or 100K just to get a piece of that, and they just sit back and do nothing. When you could easily get 100, 200, 300K plus at 0% interest funding to do that without having to give up any of your equity. So the moral of the story here is, with done for you 0% business credit funding, you keep 100% ownership. The approvals are a lot easier and a lot faster, and you don't have to waste years saving while opportunities pass you by. Because something a lot of people don't think is, if you're saving, that's time you're wasting not getting experience. And if any of these compared to what scenarios hit home for you, comment the word funding down below, and we'll help you guys secure the capital that you need in a much smarter, more efficient way. So that's the reality of funding costs. Everything costs money, but you got to compare it to which one costs the least, and which one's going to help grow your business and investments a lot faster. So next thing I want to go through is number 2 is, how much does done for you funding cost? So although the funding is 0%, right? You're not paying any interest on it. If you work with any funding company, it does come with a cost. However, this is the most affordable, fastest, and lowest risk and life-changing funding out there compared to those higher interest loans, spending years of savings, giving up equity, or selling off your assets to build new ones. So basically everything I just talked about earlier. So most companies, they charge 10%. But I have seen other companies actually charge more than that, to which I would, honestly, anything more than 10%, like I would say 12% at the max, but 10% is the standard. Anything more than that, I would just turn around and walk the other way, especially if there's nothing proprietary value, or they're just giving you the basic funding. There's no additional value they're able to do other than the done for you funding, right? So that's what we see across the board with most funding companies. Now, our standard fee is 10% paid on the back end. And we only charge a $500 down payment on upfront. And the key thing here is that down payment, it's refundable if we don't get you funded. We basically just have this, go back. We basically just have this down payment set up. The reason why is, we believe if the way our structure is set up is, we believe if we don't fulfill on our promises, then why the fuck should you guys pay us? It creates an environment of being on the same team, and the idea of, we don't get paid unless you get paid. And we do require a small down payment upfront, as we used to do no money upfront. But we saw those who don't pay attention, or those who don't pay attention. And what would happen to us a lot is, we would work with some clients, they didn't put anything up front, and we would do all this work, and they'd just be super uncommunicative, and they weren't collaborative, just because with done for you funding, we do most of the work, but there are times where you need to come in and connect with our relationship managers or you need to pay down your cards, and they just wouldn't be communicative because they didn't put any money down, so they weren't paying attention. You don't pay attention, right? And it resulted in us doing months of work where the job should have only taken a couple weeks, or we would just wouldn't get them results at all because they just ghosted us or weren't collaborative. So the reason why we have this down payment is we need some skin in the game to make sure you guys aren't fucking around and we can do our best work. And again, this down payment is refundable if we don't get you funded. And unlike most funding companies, that 500 is actually credited towards your final payment. So it's not 10% on the back end plus the 500. It's not an extra fee. So that 500 goes towards future commissions that you owe us. So the other thing too is, here's the kicker. You can lower your costs with our discounted structure, and we are able to offer unbeatable rates compared to any other funding company with different discounts or different offers. So I know this is what you guys have been waiting for, right? You know what our basic cost structure is, right? $500 down payment with 10% paid on the back end. Again, the 500 down payment that goes towards future commissions that you owe us. So it's not an extra fee. And in the case that we don't get you funded and it's on our fault, we will refund you that. So it's completely risk free for you guys. The only time this down payment isn't refundable is in the case if the client it's on client error. If we're connecting you with the relationship managers, you're ghosting us and our team and just not moving forward, and you're wasting our time, and we went through all the optimization process, we're not going to refund that to you. But if you are agreeing to what we need from you, being collaborative and communicative, everything's going to be smooth sailing. So this isn't for everybody. If you're the type of person who can't hop on a call or text, or you're the type of person who takes weeks to respond to something that's urgent, then we don't want to work with you guys. But that's our basic funding, our basic funding cost structure. So next thing I want to go through is, right, 10% is the standard. How do we lower your costs with our different discounted structured rates? So here's how it goes. So we have what's called a first movers discount, which saves you guys 1%. Basically, my belief is time kills all deals. We don't like it when people come to us, they say, hey, this is what I need, but let me get back to you in a week and think about it. That's total bullshit. We know you're not thinking about it for a week. You're just stalling. So to get people across the finish line and incentivize, we like incentivizing people who are action takers and ready to go. We have what's called a first movers discount. And what this does is, if you sign up and complete the onboarding and agreement within 24 hours of our call, you save 1% off the back end fee. So really, it doesn't sound like much, but let's do some math. Let's say if we got you 200K in funding, would that save minus 1%? You'd save 2K at that 9% compared to our standard rate of 10% on the back end. So it saves you guys thousands of dollars just by being decisive and easy to work with and being an action taker. So that's what that first movers discount is. Second option for savings, if you guys want a larger discount, is all you got to do is put down a larger down payment and you're able to save more. So you could pay an extra $500 up front, so a total of 1K, and you'll be able to save an additional 1%, bringing that total fee down to 8%. So if you're combining the first movers minus 1% and this larger down payment, you get another minus 1%. That brings us down to 8% total. However, just so you guys know, if you miss out on this, then you're only getting minus 1% and brings it down to 9%, just to clarify. Now, additionally, yeah, so basically, if you combine that first movers discount with this discount, it brings your savings down to 8%, and you could save 4K total compared to that 10% standard rate. Now, the last discount is if you pay 2K up front, so just another $1,500, you save another 2% on the fee, bringing the total fee down to 7%. So this is if you include this discount, 1%, plus this discount, so brings it down to 7%, right? So again, if you do a down payment of 2K, so just $1,500 more, you receive 2% off. And if you combine that with the first movers discount, your total rate comes down to 7% paid on the back end. And this will save you guys 6K compared to the 10% standard rate if we get you guys 200K in funding. So tons and tons of savings. But just to put this all into perspective, I want to give you guys real cold hard numbers and examples. So again, let's just say, for example, if we secured you 200K in funding at the standard rate at 10%, you'd pay 20K. At 9%, if you included that first mover's discount, you'd only pay 18K, saving you 2 grand. If you combine the first movers plus that 1K down payment, that would bring you to 8%, and you'd pay only 16K. So you'd save 4K right there. And then lastly, at 7% with the first movers, 2K down payment, you pay 14K, saving you a total of 6K if we got you funded at 200K. So that's literally thousands of dollars saved just by taking action and just by putting more skin in the game. But if you don't think that was good enough, hold up. I've got even more sauce for you guys. Let's take the savings a step further. So, boom. We also average a minimum of at least 3K in cash back. I actually just filmed a whole video on how we do this. If you haven't, comment the word cash back down below and I'll send you guys that guide. But we have the whole systems and processes in place to get this. But through our strategic funding round, we typically get clients a minimum of 3K in cash back by opening up the right accounts. Many of the funding plays we implement offer sign-on bonuses, and that is what adds up to that 3K plus. And on top of that, you get continual cash back and rewards even after the sign-on bonus as you continue to keep using the card. So this is going to help you guys get even more bang for your buck. So just running the numbers again, this is what your new cost would look like. So in the example, let's say we got you guys 200K funded, right? At 10%, you pay 20K minus the 3K in cash back would bring you down to 17%. So theoretically, that would technically bring you down to about an 8.5% rate. Now, if we did this at 9% with the first movers discount, you'd pay 18K, save the 2K, minus an additional 3K of the cash back we got, bringing the total cost down to 15K, right? That would bring your rate essentially down to 7.5%. Now, at 8%, this thing gets even, the rate gets even smaller and smaller, saving you guys even more money so that you guys can continue growing your businesses at a much faster rate at a much lower cost. So at 8%, let's say you took advantage of the first movers discount, you put 1K down, that brings your total payment. You'd only pay 8% on the back end, which is 16K. You save 4K, but with the 3K cash back, you'd only be paying 13K. So that would technically bring your rate down to 6.5%. And lastly, if you're a true action taker and going all in, with the first movers, 2K down, that would bring your rate to 7%. So you're only paying 14K. You already saved 6K, but you just got 3K in cash back. Right? That would bring your total cost to 11K and bringing your rate all the way down to 5.5%. That is insane. You can't get a mortgage. You can't get a car loan. You can't get like any personal loan, no hard money. Nothing could beat this. This is absolutely the best bang for your buck possible for you guys. You can't find a single loan or funding option out there that could beat this. I promise you, if you do, send it to me because I call your bullshit. I want to see it. And if you're serious about locking in the lowest rates possible, comment the word funding and let's get you locked in before these discounts change. Because a couple of things I want you guys to keep a note on is before making a decision, some of you may be thinking, damn, that's a lot in fees, which I agree. The costs can add up. But something I want to introduce you guys to is just kind of a funding mindset and perspective check. Because, right, again, we've already established no matter where you go, the cost of there is a cost of money. Even if you're saving it, you're spending it, you're wasting time not being able to get opportunity, and it takes a lot of time to actually save. If you're doing hard money or high interest loans, you're paying on that. If you're giving up equity, you're giving up ownership. If you're trading one asset for another, there's all these opportunities cost. So we've already established, yes, it does cost money, but here's the funding mindset I want you guys to think about and perspective check, right? So if you real with you guys for a second, we provide tons of free value to build trust and help people succeed. But at the end of the day, yes, this does cost money for the Done For You funding. And we have an awesome free Facebook group where we give tons of free value. But at the end of the day, we are not a charity. If you're the type of person who expects everything for free and doesn't understand that people who provide value should be paid for their expertise, then honestly get the fuck out. Like, I'm dead serious. You are not an ideal client for us or anyone. And if your mindset is always to take, and you don't want to pay people what they're worth, then you are also going to attract those same kinds of people into your business, and it's going to hold you back. And that's probably why your business is stuck where it's at. So is it hard to say yes? Is it true? 1000%. And now that I'm done with that quick David Goggins TED talk, we also understand as a funding company, we need to be able to under promise and over deliver, create pleasant client experiences, and provide value. And most importantly, results. Because at the end of the day, that's all you guys and we care about. So we're not here to squeeze as much money out of our clients as possible, because we thrive on seeing the businesses and new lifestyles that they're able to create as a result of this life-changing 0% funding. But at the end of the day, I want you guys to understand, we still got to get paid. We still got to make money to pay our team so that we can help more people. So this is the right mindset, is knowing that paying for proven strategies, expertise, and access is what separates those who scale fast from those who stay stuck. So if you're still thinking, the cost of Done For You funding is a lot, then this is something I really invite you guys to change your perspective on. Because no matter what, the cost of money is going to come with something, and we want to deliver to you guys the most least expensive, fastest approach possible. Now, lastly, last thing I want to go over is just ROI, right? So I know some of you guys are thinking, damn, that is a lot in fees. But yes, borrowing money to build an incredible business does cost money. It's not going to be free. You're going to pay in blood, sweat, and tears, cash, and lessons. And however, as long as the ROI comparison makes sense, then who gives a fuck? You're getting the whole idea is we're getting a bank to fund a business or real estate investment that has a potential to 2x, 5x, 10x, whatever your business is, returns. So why trip on the costs of borrowing money if it's going to make you way more money and even faster than you could have done just using any other funding options like savings or spending tons on high interest debt? Yes, there's a cost of 7 to 10%. However, realistically, if your business isn't making a return above that, then it sucks to say, but you should give up on that business, because you're in the wrong line of work if your margins aren't able to beat that, right? At the like 7 to 10%, that's what your business should be doing. But again, the question I want you guys to ask is, compared to what? What are we comparing this to, right? If you're getting 0% funding to build a business or invest in real estate, you should be making those 2 to 5 to 10x returns on that money, right? So a couple grand in funding costs is going to be worth way more in the return you're able to get. If your business cannot generate 7 to 10% returns, then it's not a good business worth funding. And lastly, I want you guys to ask yourself, would you rather pay 7 to 10% once, or be stuck with a 15+% loan for multiple years? The big thing is, if the ROI, excuse me, if the ROI makes sense, the cost shouldn't matter, right? And last thing I want to leave with you guys is, at the time of this recording, these are our rates, but I want to let you guys know rates will change, so do not wait. At the time of this training, These are our current rates, but I can tell you right now, these will change. We will not be keeping these rates forever. The best time to get funded is when you need the money the least. The worst time to get funded is when you're desperate and scrambling for cash. So if you are ready to take your business to the next level and lock in these rates before they change, comment the word funding and let's get started. These rates, as far as the discounts, they will not be, this is the lowest it's ever going to be. I'm going to tell you that right now. So the longer you guys are sitting and waiting, thinking about it, the more the cost is going to change. So just know at the time of this recording, this is what it is. But if you're sleeping on it, taking a year to figure it out, then don't expect to get these same prices. I'm going to tell you that right now. So comment the word funding if you guys are ready to get started to lock in these lowest rates possible. And then just a final recap and takeaways I want you guys to know. Again, borrowing money comes at a cost, but compared to what? Done for you funding is hands down the best option to get funded when it comes to speed, affordability, and flexibility. And number three is you can lower your rate to as low as 7% with our discounted structure rates. And if you include the cash back rewards that we get, that number actually comes down to like 5.5% or lower. But that's just something that I want you guys to keep into perspective. There's no other type of loans or funding options out there that could beat this pricing. So the other thing is if your business cannot make more than 7 to 10% ROI, it's not a business worth funding or something you want to be, because that's not that much. There's not much margin for you guys to make money on this. So it wouldn't even make sense in the first place. And then lastly, these rates, they're going to change. I promise you that. So the best time is to move. To move is now. So if you guys are ready to secure funding the smart way, comment the word funding below and let's get you guys set up. As usual, thank you guys for lending me your eyes, ears, and attention. Peace out. Much love. Stay beautiful. And we will see you guys in the next one. Peace.